this is Rodent. This video is a little bit different than what I had originally planned, which was to have a Storytime series with stories from my mother. Storytime with MamaRoadent, as it was going to be called. We had a whole list of stories that she was going to recount from throughout the years of her life, and unfortunately, aside from 2 stories, one of which is this video, because it's a special occasion, the series has now been cancelled. So, I apologise for that, and for the lack of regular audio play projects on my end. I'm still having trouble casting. But thank you for 200 subscribers, and I hope you enjoy. I don't know what the series is going to be called yet, but it's the first of Mum's stories.
I must have been about 7 years old. We were living on a council estate in Kidbrooke in London. About 3 people in the road owned cars, so it was safe to play out in the street or sit on the curb or play games in the road. And I was out playing one day, and a car pulled up outside our house, and out got my dad and 2 of my uncles. And then Dad got back in the car again, and I thought, well, that's funny, because it's not our car. But anyway, next thing we see is the sunroof slides open on the car, and the corner of a huge television came out. Now, this television isn't like the things you see on your wall now. It was about 12 inches, 30 centimetres thick, deep, might even have been bigger than that. And it was square about 45 centimetres. So it was huge for the time. And they started to lift this television out through the sunroof. Apparently this is how it had gone into the car, through the sunroof, so that was all right. And then another uncle got in the car from the other side, and he was pushing, and the television wasn't coming out. So the third uncle stands on the running boards at the sides of the car, starts trying to pull the television out the top, with 2 of them inside pushing. At this time, grown men didn't swear when there were children about. But I could hear all sorts of mutterings coming from the car. Couldn't hear what was being said, but I gathered that it was probably safer to keep away from the car. So I sat on the curb and watched. And for nearly 15 minutes they pushed, they pulled the thing back in, they pushed it out a different way. They tried to take it out the door. They shut the seat down. They tipped the seat back. They could not get this television out of the car. Apparently it went in really easily, but it wouldn't come out. By this time, I was sitting there nearly wetting myself, because the men were getting redder and redder and redder in the face. The 3 brothers, they looked absolutely alike, and they all looked incandescent. I did notice at this point that my mum hadn't come out either. She was keeping out of the way, standing inside the living room watching through the net curtains so that they couldn't see her. Eventually this thing came out of the car. Don't ask me how. It just suddenly popped out through the roof, and the one that was on the roof nearly had to catch it, because he nearly ended up on his back on the pavement, with the other 2 scrambling out to try and rescue him, because it weighed about 40 or 50 pounds, that's about 25 kilos, and when it comes up and over the top of a car and straight on top of you, that's quite a weight. But that was our first television arriving, and that was a black and white television that we had for about 5 years before we managed to get a colour one. That's your lot.